Rui Pereira. I'm interaction designer, and I build also my own interfaces for music and especially also for live visuals. So this is Tüist, which stands for a very interesting and foolish name, which is Transformable Uber Interface for Stardom. And this was my thesis project, and basically it's not connected right now, so it's not going to light up all the blinky things. But it's actually based on some researches I was doing, and also some annoying things I was seeing with games and controllers, and especially like the need that people have to feel they're like superstars, that they're on stage, and how many games take advantage of that, like Rock Band and Guitar Hero, where they really take advantage of your emotional connection to being on stage and a superstar, and they make you just like press like 4 buttons, like really plasticky buttons, and analog, not analog, like discrete controllers to follow orders from the machine. So even though they're taking advantage and pushing all your emotions of being a rock star, you just mimicking or doing what the machine tells you to. Press red, press green, press blue, and they got me a bit not satisfied with seeing that. And at the same time, it also made me realize that we can take advantage of those emotions, and to make people that don't know anything about music maybe doing music, even if many times and sometimes it's not really like that pleasant or musical. So I built this really interesting theory that says those gestures that when we kids we do when we play music, like when we hear music, and like you're a kid and you just hear the drums and you like doing the drum set gestures, or guitar and you do the guitar gestures, those gestures, even though they're completely inaccurate compared to a professional musician gestures, they do at the same time wake up the same areas in the brain and activate the same areas in the brain than the areas when you're actually listening to the music. So there's a really strong connection of gesture and the motoric part of your brain with the part that's activated when you hear that sound. And I build the Tüist. You can play it like a guitar, and you basically have the 2 surfaces. Basically, when you have a guitar, you have the triggering where you pluck the string and you control the range, or the note you're choosing, like in a more analog, rangy way. If you're in a guitar, this will be a light blue. But if you do it like this, well, now it becomes a stand-up bass. It will be a purplish color. And not enough, for you to have your own band, you also need a rhythmic section, a percussion section, and that would be kind of like a tabla way of playing, or a hand drums, where you still, hit the drum pad here and you choose, the note, and allows you to, slide and control the note. This will be orange. This is all handmade by me. It was fabricated with fiberglass, and then we have like FSR, force sensing resistor, which basically is a sensor that detects the pressure and the touch and the amount of pressure in that touch. Up here, this really long slider is basically a touch slider, so it works basically like a regular slider. Instead of having a piece of metal that drives along an axis, basically your finger will become that piece and can drive along this axis. So it doesn't detect the pressure itself, but it detects the position where you touch it. And then inside here, to manage all this data, we have a wiring board, which is a microcontroller that's very similar to the Arduino. It's basically the mother of the Arduino. Before the Arduino was created, there was wiring, and then the project diverged in 2 paths with the wiring continuing on its own with its developer, and another team developed the Arduino platform. So all these electronics are connected to Arduino that does the data management, the gesture detection, and what that gesture means. That is later on communicated with, here we plug this really nice USB cable, and then this we go into the computer. This data is then communicated to MaxMSP, which is doing nothing but another part of the data management, mostly the tracks recording. So I'm recording all the data in the tracks as data and not as sounds. So when you record a track, you don't actually record the sound you're playing, you're recording the gestures you're playing as data, and then they are routed on MaxMSP to 4 or 5 instances of VST. I actually used Native Instruments Absinthe, and not enough that you can play these 3 instruments. You can basically record your performances with each one of the instruments and play another or the same instrument on top. So we have the track looper. Well, basically we have 4 tracks. Each track has 2 buttons, and each button can, these 2 buttons, if I press them at the same time, they'll start recording. They'll identify which instrument you're in, and basically this would be the, percussive instrument, the tabla. So it would tell me this is a tabla and you're actually recording, and if I stop recording and I press again, it starts playing the track I just performed with the tabla. And then I can, choose instruments and do, stand-up bass. Then I can do the guitar, and basically these 4 tracks are fully and freely assignable. So I can just do 4 tracks of guitar, 4 tracks of bass, or any track of anything of the instruments, and just combine and then, record them, play them, mute them, and play on top. So it can make you be something like a one-man band. Here we have the tracks. Basically there's 1 track here, and the track management system, if it's recording, playing, stopping, there's this trigger track and the modulation track. So I'm basically just recording data. These are just numbers that, basically are your gestures, not numbers, but they're translated into numbers. And then here we have the VSTs, where, I basically have a VST loaded. I can open, and basically here we have Absinthe VST running. This interface also has a visual part. It's done in Open Frameworks, which is open source language for artists, C++ based. You can pick all the frequency analysis from the sounds you're playing and generate a very, very nice and party background, where it will emulate lasers and spotlights like you're on stage. It will take, your figure, your contours, it will mask them with, really funky shapes.